Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sailor Moon Another Story commentary. We are wrapping up Sailor Jupiter's chapter, which actually is surprisingly short compared to the other three. I'm not really sure why that is.
See, the irony is because she's really tall.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, with the Grind Begone mod installed, you ironically have to intentionally grind during this chapter because it's so short. The unfortunate fact is that when you lower the encounter rate in this game, you pass through the areas in Sailor Jupiter's sections so quickly that she doesn't have a chance to actually encounter enemies a lot of the time. And she doesn't level up, and you reach a point where you get to the boss, and it just one-shots you, which you don't want to do.
Necessary grinding.
It doesn't take long. You only need like a handful of battles to get yourself from like level 8 to level 13 at least, I would say. And between that and your accessories, you should be good. But like, yeah, it's time to
run in circles.
Square. I would say circles, but
Square.
it is more like
you're
running
right.
in squares. But like, yeah, let's just get up to like level 13 or so, and you should be good as long as you pick up the accessories. It's funny though, because like I went from being one shot by this boss to one-shotting the boss within a few levels. The way this game handles stats is a bit odd. Like, the difference a few points makes is a bit ridiculous at times.
Every little bit counts.
Every little bit counts a lot in this case. Also, between parts, I found out that I was slightly wrong, and yeah, there are treasures to find by exploring these areas. It's just that there are so few of them that it sounds like there shouldn't be. So basically, what you need to do is search the barrels and the pots. And sometimes you'll find items, sometimes you'll find puzzle pieces. Occasionally you'll find what's called a premium ticket, which is an item that you can sell to a certain shop later on. But, yeah, as a result of this, I wound up checking a lot of pots and barrels. Because the alternative was playing with a guide, and that's just not fun for me.
I wonder if we could find any orange jays.
Or
That would be nice.
alarm clerks.
Alarm clerks.
A lot of the hidden items are just puzzle pieces, though, and you can get those from random battles. So it's not crucial, but you know, it is something to find, and that's good. Also, starting with Jupiter's story, they start giving you more treasure chests with, like, random items inside them rather than just the specific armor for the specific Sailor Scout you're playing as. So it's a bit weird. The game teaches you not to expect things when you explore, and then starts giving you things when you explore.
Hey!
The ancient village's puzzle piece. Holy passed down because it doesn't go to anything. Therefore, it must be important that it's some random Japanese girl finds it because it's useful to her.
Okay, so to recap from last session, the other two Sailor Scouts, Mercury and Mars, succeeded in obtaining the Zoisite and Jadeite light stones. So Jupiter is here to obtain the Nephrite one. Yeah. Wow, it just occurred to me that the 90s anime did something awkward by having Nephrite die right before being introduced, right before Sailor Jupiter was introduced, in a romantic subplot with another character entirely. When Nephrite was the one who was in love with Jupiter in their past life. It's funny because this game, I thought this game wouldn't acknowledge that side of things because of the anime, but it actually ends up doing it. This is a weird scene. Like, this is the mayor of this town. He just, like, pushes her to the ground, and she's like, what the hell?
I'm walking here. I'm walking here.
Now I look at this. I look at this necklace, and I'm about to pick it up, and then I'm like, "Oh wait, I didn't talk to all the villagers yet." So I just leave it there because picking it up advances the story. And I mean, it advances the story to the point where you can't come back to this village immediately.
Oh.
You actually get locked into a dungeon after this. So be sure to be ready before you do that. These two NPCs are amusing because one of them's like, "Oh, that George just wants the mayor's fortune," and this other one's like, "Ah, you know what? I hear even in that other town, they think George is a bit of a pansy." So, Sailor Jupiter's entire story is just lighthearted shenanigans the whole way through, which is odd because, like, Mars gets this super serious story about a ghost village that came back deliberately to help her and ends with her crying. And Venus's story is actually fairly serious too because it touches on the lore of their past lives and all. But Jupiter's just here sitting in the middle, all comic relief all day every day. And, you know, that's kind of weird to me.
Heart emoji.
Blushing. Oh.
This is the early 90s. We don't have cell phones yet. Who are you talking to? It was the car phone. You have a car in there?
Hide
Damn
under
it.
the bed.
Honestly, these villages give me such an old-timey vibe that I wouldn't be surprised, like, if we got a live-action version of this section was just entirely Resident Evil 8's village.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
I can see
complete
it.
with the weird dresses. I can totally see it, complete with the weird dresses. But, like,
Yes.
in fact, it kind of looks like that's what she's wearing.
Yeah.
Just from
If
the
she
design of the sprite.
she just punches the wall down. Okay.
Stwankf.
It's kind of funny how nonchalant the other girl is about this.
She punches the wall and she goes, hee hee hee.
Also, he's like, the dad's like, "Are you talking to anyone?" He's like, no," and then just suddenly he just punches the wall. And I was like, "Way to blow your cover." It's like she was able to climb up into the window. She could have easily just jumped out the window and been fine.
She could.
Yeah.
But no, we need to go dungeon spelunking. And it just so happens that this mansion was built on top of some underground ruins.
Oh boy, the ancient Indian burial ground.
Oh boy.
The underground ruins portion of this chapter is kind of weird because it looks like it was meant to play a larger part, but then it doesn't. It kind of feels like they only had a chance to finish the exterior of the underground ruins and the original intended entrance of the underground ruins, which you can walk down to and get a message that says, "Oh, I think this is a dead end." And then you never go through that dead end. So, like, I don't know. This entire chapter just feels rushed, in a way. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, because apparently this game had, I don't know, not necessarily a troubled development, but, like, there were a lot of points along the way that they changed their mind about the direction they were gonna go. So,
Well, it's kind of sad that they rushed it.
That's always a bit of a shame.
well, that's just my assumption based on, like, what I'm seeing in the game's design. I might be completely off base, but, like, well, you'll see. Or maybe they decided at the last second that what they had planned for Jupiter was a bit too similar to what they just did with Mars. Who knows? This is also the only chapter where you're actually quite likely to miss one of the armor pieces for Jupiter, because, like, to end the section and move on with the story, and this locks you out of the ruins entirely, so you can't go back for it. You have to walk up to the door of this big old building underground, right? But the treasure chest with the other armor piece is on the opposite side of that building from where you start.
I'm thinking about it now, just, if they wanted to make Jupiter's a bit more funny, lighthearted, they could have taken advantage of the whole fact that it's a 16-bit RPG and everyone kind of looks the same, by just having every male look like the same person, so she's constantly going, "Oh, you look like my senpai who I used to be in love." And it's like, there it would actually make sense because they all look like the same.
To to be honest, I'm kind of glad they didn't because I hate that gag so much.
I think it's funny.
It was like this one-time semi-emotional thing that happened during Jupiter's introduction in the manga, and they turned it into her whole shtick
personality
for like most of the anime. So like, I am a little bit like, actually, I have like a very slight case of sour grapes that Jupiter got to be the comic relief in this game rather than being treated mostly seriously like the others. But I guess it balances out because it was actually Venus who got the comic relief villain. Anyway, yeah, there's the treasure chest with the emerald ring in it.
It has a strange marking of 2 lines and a circle on it. Odd.
But yeah, just make sure to pick that up. It's the only thing worth finding in this area, apart from random battles. This is a decent time to get some experience points for Jupiter, though. And this is the pathway to the place where I suspect you were supposed to enter from when they originally designed this map. But, you know, again, I could be totally off base. It's just a really long tangent for no reason.
Huh.
And there is an exit that they're supposed to take to get out of here that leads out into the national park area that you started in. But, like, there's no actual physical place for that exit to connect to in this map, so it's a bit weird. It's strange. Another story is technically, like, from a graphical and sound design standpoint, a fairly impressive 16-bit RPG, but in terms of its actual game design, it's very inconsistent from section to section. It kind of feels like a bunch of random puzzle pieces thrown together. But, you know, maybe I'm just projecting a little bit from my own frustrations completing that goddamn puzzle. And yeah, this is why I end up thinking that the ruins were meant to serve a different purpose, because the ruins have the symbol of Jupiter on them, and it's like, you never find out what that means or why it is. Like, there's this weird implication that these locations were all tied to the 4 Sailor Scouts in some way, but only two of the sections actually, like, directly acknowledge that, and Jupiter just has the symbol of Jupiter on this set of ruins that you never get to enter. Ever. So, I don't know. I know that at one point in development, they were planning on making the game more about the Sailor Scouts themselves as characters, and then decided partway through that they would rather focus on the character of the villains, because the character of the Sailor Scouts had already been well established in the manga and anime. But, you know. Oh, it just so happens that the stone we're looking for used to be used for, like, marriage ceremonies. So if they get that stone, then these two can totally get together without the two mayors having any reason to object. Or at least, in theory, that doesn't seem to make too much sense to me. But the punchline to this whole story will leave you either laughing or crying with laughter, because, like, there's a reason the two villages are feuding, and it's a fucking stupid reason. But it also has implications for these two, unfortunately. Anyway,
Into the forest.
it took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out that that was where you needed to walk to get into the first village again.
No. It wasn't obvious, in my opinion.
Into the Great Deku Tree.
Yeah.
Now, this is a place where the encounter rate of the Grind Be Gone mod actually does bite you in the butt significantly. But first, let's ignore the villain character and see what happens if we walk to the top of the tree without talking to them. Because you are supposed to actually just physically talk to the villain this time to get the story moving, but you can walk past them and walk to the top of the tree. Does anyone want to guess what happens if you do that?
You get sent back down.
No.
You can just finish it.
No.
You get your butt kicked.
No.
You get the Gogiri Emerald.
No.
You get orange jays?
No.
Oh my gosh. Is it an infinite loop?
It felt like that for a little while, but no, it's not. Note that I'm walking through these floors at normal speed and not encountering any monsters. There are monsters to encounter here. They're actually pretty strong and give good experience. It's probably the best area in this whole section to get experience for Jupiter, but like the encounter rate has been lowered so much by the mod
What?
that it just never happens.
Oh wow.
This is a tall ass tree.
Yeah.
Anyway, the answer to that question I asked was nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Even though this is implied to be where the stone was before the villain raced you to it, it's not there. So, oops.
Now I wish we had the link to the past just drop down a few number of
Oh my
floors by walking
goodness.
off the edge.
If they were going to do it that way, they should have had a cutscene trigger when you walked into the tree, but they didn't, so... I don't know, the design of the quest flags and whatnot in this game seems a bit amateurish.
More importantly,
Anyway.
we got $12.
More like 12 cents, really. It was like, yeah, a dime.
It was 1,200 yen, so that's about roughly $12.
Give me enemies.
1,200? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Generally speaking, it's not particularly accurate, but it gives you a ballpark estimate. It's just move the decimal point over 2.
Right.
And I'll give you a very loose idea of how much it is.
Right. I guess I just misremembered, rather, the number I was seeing. Or maybe I was thinking of the 12 in the EP slot. That's probably what I was thinking of.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, the higher the number it goes, the less accurate it becomes, so... You're not me.
The Oppositio soldiers are designed to look like counterparts to their rival Sailor Scout, but, like, it doesn't always land.
Oh no, don't tell me she's in love with balding Vegeta here.
Oh my god.
No. These two are just NPCs from the 30th century. Muscle shirt and...
Balding Vegeta.
That is
Yeah,
an
yeah,
extremely
it kind of
accurate
is.
description.
But anyway, these two people are just having an extremely unnatural conversation in the street about how awesome the silver crystal is. And...
Boy, the sun is great, isn't it, guys? That sun is amazing. It heats our planet and everything.
I like how this character just completely ignores the Black Moon. Out of the 3 like wars that she's talking about being caused by the silver crystal, one of them was actually just people like her opposing the silver crystal in the first place. So that's like, you know, I mean, technically I suppose that proves your point, but it also proves the other point too. So the Black Moon arc was weird. It's just like, you know, we defeated the evil Queen Beryl who destroyed the kingdom a millennium ago, and then, like, suddenly a time-traveling pink-haired version of Usagi appears and holds her up at gunpoint. And that happened in both versions of the story. That's how Chibiusa makes her debut. She shows up and points a gun at Usagi, and
Gimme Mama-chan!
it's only a model, but you know, way to make a first impression.
If only all anime villains would be so direct.
She's not even a villain. But like, Oh, right. I decided to do a bit more grinding, which means I'm probably going to jump cut right to the top of the tree in a second. Oh, no. I left one of them in. Oops.
Kapow.
Yay, another puzzle piece.
Yay.
All right, so let's fight the boss.
Back to the top of the obnoxiously large tree.
Yup. The way this tree is drawn, the perspective is odd. Like, I think you're supposed to be inside the branch.
That's what I'm thinking.
But then she goes and falls off the tree from inside the branch. Why? And at this point, you're prompted with a question, jump down after her. You can, and it takes you directly to the bottom, but you can say no and just walk there, and she's still just on the ground when you get back.
All right, we're James Sunderland from Silent Hill 2, just jumping off of random platforms that will lead to progress.
That was too easy.
She's fine, though. So it would have made more sense to fight her up top and then have her fall.
Probably, yeah. It's so weird. Only Mercury gets a 2-round battle with her particular enemy in these chapters. Like, she fights a weaker version, and then they talk, and then they reveal their backstory, and then she fights a stronger version that's really kind of a headache to take down. But then all the other Sailor Scouts just fight the piddly weak version of their given soldier, and it's like, why did you establish that formula and then not follow up? It's like, from Mars onward, I'm one-shotting all of these guys every single time. Exactly.
Pew.
Yeah, another level up for trouble.
It's so weird that she gets enough experience points from that to level up, and yet she can still one-shot the boss. And this difficulty curve only persists for as long as you're in the single Sailor Scout stories, because once you're back with Chibiusa and Usagi, the difficulty ramps up to something I would consider like what I would expect of this kind of game, where the bosses are actual bosses and you have to try. I don't know. I guess they didn't want to make it too difficult to have to play through these single character story chapters, but at the same time, if you're going to have single character story chapters, they need to be engaging in some mechanical fashion. Otherwise, it just kind of gets boring to mash the same attack over and over again. Aw, you're making me blush.
Is it secret? Is it safe?
Is it secret? Is it... Yes. Yes, it is. By which I mean, I told every villager that we found in that tree. But, like, okay, we're about to approach the punchline twist of this entire chapter. What? What? That was... What was with the evil laugh there, dude?
Is everyone in this town secretly evil?
I'm trying to remember which house is the actual...
Plot
like,
house.
Get out of my way!
No, my house. You can't enter.
So, I was trying to remember which house the mayor actually lived in. It would help if I, like, had any reason to talk to either of the mayor to either of the mayors beforehand, but, like, one mayor just sort of doesn't say anything and acts like a regular NPC when you talk to him, and the other mayor is a cutscene. So, So he's like, you found it up the tree, and then he immediately demands that we take him to see the other mayor.
My son's better than your whole town.
So, there's a tradition between these two villages that says the Nephrite stone is used to engage in marriage, right? What? Trout
good fish?
berries? Oh, right, I remember. That's the NPC that asks if you tried the fish.
If you're here all week, try the veal.
So, like,
Back to the forest.
the Sailor Jupiter Uber service. Just
Climb on my back.
we'll get you across the 1/2 mile to the next town over without any random battles or your money back.
Well, no, she has George and the mayor, so she has two people just hanging on her back.
Yeah.
She's like George on her back, and then the mayor on top of George's back. Hello, you Kaja, the old timer.
So, are we just gonna not address the fact that I punched out the wall of your daughter's bedroom? No? Okay. Just knock down the rest of the wall and make the bedroom bigger.
Home expansion.
She even has a secret escape passage now. So, the reason for this whole feud is that, okay, Mayor number 1 wanted to marry Mayor number 2's sister, right? Mayor number 2's sister is George's mother, but, like, never mind that. So,
Oh no, actual cousins.
Mayor number 2 pulled a prank on Mayor number 1 and told Mayor number 1 that the Nephrite stone was in the ruins underground. Mayor number 1 searched and searched throughout those ruins and never found it. So, but he's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna marry Mayor number 2's sister anyway, so he did. And, the two have been fighting like little boys ever since. And that's why the two villages hate each other. As a result, Mary and George had no idea until this moment that they're actually cousins.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay, Mary and George. I know two other cousins who are totally in fine with each other.
It's never addressed whether or not this newfound revelation of them being related affects their relationship. Jupiter leaves before, like, we see them talk about it. So it's just like something that's handled off screen and left completely open-ended. So,
Man.
But it's like they spend half this conversation staring at each other, so I can only imagine they're staring at each other in horror and disappointment.
Yeah.
Jupiter's like, can I please leave before this gets even more awkward?
So, Jupiter takes the Nephrite stone away. She also strong-arms the two mayors into making up, because, like, the alternative is her telling all the villagers the truth of what happened, and that would embarrass them both, and they don't want that. So, like, they're willing to shake and play nice if it means they don't get publicly humiliated in front of the entire village.
They both do a little hop.
No, they're just saying, no, you, over and over. Like, literally. This goes on for quite a while. Put her there. And then George and Mary are still just staring at each other, not reacting to anything.
Good news, George, you were actually adopted, because who else has green hair around here?
I think the fact that he's so willing to give the Nephrite stone to Jupiter at this point implies that he and Mary will not be getting married after all.
Yeah.
On the other hand, all those identical red-headed girls in the village now have a chance with George. Their time has come.
Seize the day.
Oh, now that you said that, I'm thinking of the intro to Tokyo Xanadu, that stupid anime opening that plays at the beginning of every chapter. The song is titled "Seize the Day."
Oh,
Luna.
Luna, where did you come from?
How did you get to Canada? Not go search where the stone is over, heart.
Fortunately, Luna's not going to have to travel to Turkey because Venus has Artemis to give the save game message at the end of the chapter.
Oh boy.